What's good, guys? I want to talk to you real quick about a personal story of mine. And I record this video in the hope that you'll hear and understand the message that I'm trying to preach and delete these limiting beliefs or these parasitic paradigms that you have that are preventing you from achieving your goals and ultimately stepping into your desired reality, the life that you truly want to live, the life that you know you can live, but there's just something that's holding you back and you can't quite put your finger on it. Now, 99% of the time, the reason people don't achieve the things in life that they think they want to achieve is because they think that they can't. And it mostly falls down to someone's identity, the way that they see themselves, you know, the paradigms that they have, the way that you see the world. And, you know, there's an overarching paradigm, right? The way that we see the world as a whole. But there are also sub-paradigms. So, you know, financial paradigms, relationship paradigms, physical paradigms. And you guys have to understand that the way you see the world and the way that you see these things will largely influence the way that you show up towards these things as well. Because if you, for example, have a limiting belief around charging high ticket, or you have a belief around growing a successful high ticket coaching business, if you truly don't believe within your core that you can make a success of it, it's going to show up in the way that you take action, in the way that you behave towards achieving that goal, the way that you think about it, the way that you feel about it, which is ultimately going to affect the results that you get, right? Because until you truly believe that you can do something, you won't show up in alignment with that belief. And if you don't show up in alignment with the belief that you can achieve something, you're not going to achieve it. We've all heard the saying, right? Those who think they can will, and those who think they can't won't. It's age-old saying, pretty cliche, but it is true. And I'll take this full circle to a personal story of mine, right? I won't go into the whole blasé of my childhood and all that sort of stuff, but bottom line is, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. It's not to say that I had absolutely nothing. I had a food to eat, I had a roof over my head, and I had, you know, a mum that raised me for most of my childhood, and she showed me all the love in the world. I had everything a kid needs in life, right? But regarding money, it was a scarcity thing, right? My mum always used to use the word skin. If you're from the UK, I mean, I hate the word, I can't stand it, but if you're from the UK, you'll know exactly what that word means. I'm skin, you know, money don't grow on trees, all that bullshit, right? And basically, I won't get into the details of it, but it made me grow up believing that money was scarce. So during my entrepreneurship journey, I had to overcome endless years of conditioning with regards to money, how easy it is to obtain, how much of an abundance there is, even down to my financial literacy, right? When I first started earning a bit of money, because my internal thermostat, my identity, was only comfortable with having a certain amount in my bank account, which was next to nothing, I would get money and it would go straight away, right? And this was all subconscious, right? It was nothing intentional. It was nothing that I'd consciously decided to do, but it was just a way in which my body and mind were conditioned to act based on the conditions of my past and the way that my mind had, you know, thought about money and created beliefs around money. And it had basically got to the point where I started to earn a bit of money, I self-sabotaged, and I fell right back into where I'd started, or where I had, you know, was to begin with. And it was all to do with my identity, right? When it comes to the identity, and I use the thermostat analogy, it basically means that, like, obviously the thermostat in your home is set to a certain temperature. So let's say it's set to 25 degrees. If the temperature in your home falls below or above 25 degrees, thermostat's going to kick in and it's going to get it back to that level. It's the same as when it comes to your identity, right? If you're comfortable at a certain level, you fall below that level. Let's say I was comfortable making 5k a month and I fell below 5k a month, I would be uncomfortable and I would do anything in my power to get back to 5k, back to a level at where my identity feels familiar, okay? And it's the same, you know, if you was to earn above that. And this is why people say you must become the person before you become the person. Because if you earn, let's say for example, right, I'll just speak fucking truth with you guys right now, right? My goal used to be, and this is going back probably 3 years ago now, my goal was to earn $10,000 a month, right? And I hired this mentor. He was like a mindset mentor at the time. And he basically got me to understand the concept of like deep work, focus, consistency, discipline, and really just understanding the inner workings of my mind. He introduced me to the concept of identity and all of that sort of stuff. And I really started to make some internal shifts, right? And within the period of 90 days, I'd got my business to $10,000 a month. Now, I did this through working on, you know, my identity, doing the actions that were in alignment with my identity, all that sort of stuff. But what happened when I hit $10,000 a month was that I started to have this overwhelming feeling of anxiety that I was going to lose it all. And what I did subconsciously was put that $10,000 on a pedestal, right? I had gave it such excess importance that it created a negative energy, and I had subconsciously found ways to sabotage that success and go back to where I had felt comfortable, which was at $5,000 a month. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if you've hit a ceiling in your business right now, or if you just can't get to your said goal, you really need to look at the way that you see things, your paradigms, your identity, your beliefs that may potentially be holding you back. Fast forward to December of last year, 2024, I charged a client $50,000, $48,000. I'll probably put something up on screen here. And that was the first big invoice I'd ever sent. Like big invoice. That's pretty much someone's salary in one hit, right? They paid it in full. And I'll be completely honest with you, and I honestly don't say this to fuck about, right? I felt more excited about my first ever $20 client than I did about that $50,000 client. And I'll tell you why. Firstly, I didn't put that $50,000 on a pedestal. I didn't give it such importance that subconsciously it would feel like something new, surprising, and not normal in my life. I had cultivated an identity wherein $50,000 invoices are completely natural. They're normal. They're a part of who I am, the value that I provide to my clients. And that is really the power of identity, right? Because when you truly become the person that is worthy of that kind of outcome and those results, the world has a funny way and the universe has a funny way of just attracting those things into your reality. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I was fucking, very proud of myself, and it was a great kind of, not even pinch me moment, but like, it was a great, confirmation, told you so to myself that like, look, this used to be the sort of things that I would dream about, right? Like I at the start of my journey, guys, like after I'll even put it up on screen, when I charged that client $20, like fuck, did I ever think I would send an invoice $48,000 to a client and the client would pay it within 1 hour of receipt? Like, to me back then, if you would have told me that, I would have laughed in your face. Really, I would have well and truly laughed in your face. And I get reminded of those types of stories, you know, when I speak to people. It might be a prospect, it might be a client I'm working with, and sometimes, you know, I'll be working with a client, and one of the biggest changes they can make in their business is charging more. And I'll probably do a video on pricing and how to price and the psychology and methodology behind it and all that sort of stuff, because it really does help. Like when people charge too little, it's really just that they're like a mindset shift away from charging higher prices without changing any deliverables, without expanding the offer, without doing any of that. It is predominantly 99% of the time to do with their mindset and what they believe they can charge. And it's funny to me because I'll speak to some people and we'll talk about raising prices, and there will be this, like, whether it's said or whether it's not said, there's this kind of like internal resistance, right? And people really have to trust in me and resonate with me and trust that it's the right thing to do for them to be even optimistic or open to hearing why they should increase their prices. And it's just a mindset shift. It really is just that. And you guys have to understand that the way that you see things, your paradigms, are going to affect everything. They're going to affect your thoughts. They're going to affect your feelings. They're going to affect how you make choices, the options that you even see available. Like, really deep that, guys. Like, if you're maybe having doubts, or you don't think you can get to a certain level in business, and you're maybe setting your standards or your expectations too low, like, really look at maybe your paradigms and the options that you can currently perceive, right? Because that's an interesting thing, that your paradigms, if you have limiting ones, right, will limit you to the extent where you can't even fathom, you can't even see potential options. And because you can't see those potential options, you can't even act upon those options. They're not even within your library of choice. So you can understand that how detrimental, you know, limiting beliefs and certain paradigms that don't serve you can be when it comes to trying to achieve something out of the ordinary, right? Trying to achieve something outside of the mediocrity that most settle for. To a certain extent, like, I'll be really honest with you guys, to a certain extent, in some cases, you have to be a little bit delusional. And I like to call it positive delusion, because when you hear someone say, oh, you're delusional, it doesn't come across as a very positive thing. So I like to say it's positive delusion, right? You're so optimistic in a goal, in a vision, that there is no evidence to support in your life right now, but you know you can do it. Positive delusion. Because and this is a home fucking truth right now, guys. When you truly believe that you can do something, like, I get goosebumps talking about it, right? Because when you truly believe you can do something, you will find any way, or you will do anything to achieve that thing. You will find a way. It does not matter. Like, you will get there. The outcome is certain, right? The outcome is certain, and you detach from the how, because it's a daily effort of acting in alignment with that goal, becoming that person until it eventually happens. And truly, guys, the only difference between someone who is in your industry that is absolutely crushing it, it could be something to do with a knowledge gap, it could be a skill set gap, could be a mindset gap, but sometimes it's a combination of all of them, and time. You know, knowledge, time, consistency, consistent action in the right direction, with the right knowledge, the right skill, over a said period of time, with the right belief, the right mindset, it will happen. It's not rocket science. You know, if someone goes to the gym, 5 days a week for a year and eats healthy, eventually he's going to be in great shape, right? And it's the same with business. If you do the right actions, at the times when you need to do those actions over a set period of time, and you really believe that you're going to achieve said thing, eventually it's only a matter of time until you achieve that thing. So yeah, I may do a video on kind of how to step into a new identity, how to overcome the old self and all that sort of stuff. But what I would recommend, guys, is look into Joe Dispenza's work. He's an expert on the subject of overcoming the old self. Because really and truly in life, guys, the only person that's going to hold you back from achieving your dreams is you. As cliche as it may sound, you only really have these realizations when you've experienced it for yourself. And I can tell you for a fact, I've had a good skill set for 6 years. You know, I developed my skills. I had good knowledge. I may have learned new things along the way, but I had all the knowledge and skills I needed, 4 to 5 years ago to do what I'm doing right now and be charging what I'm charging clients, working with the clients that I'm working with. I could have done it a long time ago, but there are certain things, everyone has a different journey, right? Everyone has a different journey, and that's another thing. It's important not to compare your page 10 to someone else's page 300. My journey was the way that my journey was because that's how it was. God has a plan for us all. It might be different for everyone, but that's another thing that, people compare a lot. And I'm rambling here, so I won't get onto a bit more of that. But I hope you get the message, guys. I hope that maybe my story from where I've come from to what I've achieved inspires you to create that change within yourself. And yeah, stick around, guys, because I'm enjoying my introduction to YouTube and just, teaching what I know and sharing my journey. And I have loads of plans for the future, some big plans of, what to do, what to teach, how to help. And I'm looking forward to it. So drop a like, subscribe if you like this content, and I'll catch you in the next one.